So if you'd like to tell us a little bit about the project you're working on, if you want to start, Daisy.
So this project, I'm doing it about my dad, because growing up he was absent through most of my childhood because of a lot of addiction problems, mental health problems, because my mum died when I was 1. So it led to him struggling with that alongside the mental health problems he had beforehand. So I don't want my project to be like a homage to him. I want it to be more about my experience with having it. It's not about my dad, it's about my perception on growing up like this and how I kind of coped with it or didn't cope with it. So,
That is quite a topic to be exploring. How are you finding exploring such a vulnerable topic and bringing that into seminars and putting it on the wall? How are you going?
It took a while to be able for me to talk about it comfortably in front of people. Especially last year when I was doing it about my mum, because I talked about it to counsellors and stuff, but never in front of large groups of people. But I think through talking about it, it's defo I've been able to see it differently, and it's still I'm writing about it and I'm so sad. But then it's good for me to it's a way for me to let it out without it being controlled, kind of. I can say what I want to say. That's why I prefer sketchbook work, because it's rough. You can do what you want with it. So I
think that's great that you're able to use your creativity. It's part of your healing process in a way as well.
Because I'm doing salt prints at the moment, which are a brown sepia tone. I really enjoy it because I like the long alternative processes, but then I like how it's a bit rough on the edges because you paint the chemicals on. So I like that it kind of resembles me, a bit rough around the edges, if that makes sense.
That's really beautiful.
Thank you.
And just to you, Luke, what are you exploring at the moment?
I'd say it's similar in that sort of self-healing process of work, kind of mainly around mental health and looking at identity as well, a little bit in self-expression, just because it's something that I've struggled with since the age of 11 that I can remember. And it's a similar sort of thing where doing this and reading back through old diaries and being able to put it actually into something positive and something visual for other people to see as a raw perception of mental health and struggle. Where I wanted to go.
How about you with bringing that vulnerability to seminars and stuff? How have you experience with that?
I was saying that first year we had this project to take a self-portrait, and I wouldn't do it. I didn't want to take a photo of myself. I took a photo of my hand and I wouldn't even show that. So I feel it's definitely developed my self-confidence, even having to put myself in front of the camera and being so exposed to people in that way.
I do think it's amazing. The more conversations I'm having, the more I'm seeing how much doing a photography degree, you're actually learning so much about yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't think we'd get that if we were doing something else.
Definitely not. No.
We're gonna leave this with a whole journey of self-growth and a degree and work, Wow, both of you are doing such interesting projects. I feel like I've got so many different questions. If we could start by sort of explaining how your processes have evolved from the first year to now.
Well, first year my projects, they were okay, but there wasn't that emotional kind of depth to it that I enjoy when creating photos. Because in my A-level project I did about dreams, so there was the whole technical part of that, and I prefer more there's more mental part of it rather than just looking at a printed pretty photo. I like that people look at it and they have to kind of think about it.
I remember being in your class back in first year, and I think you were putting film into Coca-Cola and stuff like that, and I remember being wow, I've never thought of these ideas before. It's so interesting.
Yeah, because I did those alternative processes in college, printing in coffee, developing in beer, so I really enjoyed it. But then when I came to do that, none of my film came out. It was so bad, and I remember one of our lecturers, Charles, he just felt so bad for me because he knew I wanted to make the work. It just wasn't working.
Yeah. But I guess first year was that time to make mistakes. I mean, and second year, I've still been making a lot of mistakes this year, to be fair.
I enjoyed third more because it's such a long projects that we get to focus on. Although I found first year helpful with like trying loads of different things, it is quite sometimes emotionally challenging, like to create something in such a short space of time and like be like, this definitely reflects what I wanted to make, rather than getting like 3 weeks to do something and not being very proud of it just because you've had to make something, rather than like a long process of actually being able to think and about what you want to create and stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think having that time to sort of sit with the work and like almost, I feel like it marinates like in a slow cooker for me, and it comes out in the end. And looking back to first year, like what was your experience like? So you came from college doing photography, and what about you, Luke?
Yeah, we're both college.
We've known each
Together?
other for about 5 years now.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So were you both doing photography at college
You're
then
in the same
before?
class.
As well in high school.
Oh, this is so cool! I don't know why I didn't know this. How did you find coming to uni? Obviously, you knew each other then. Was that a nice like comfort?
Yeah, it was always a nice comfort knowing that even though I struggled to make friends at first, I always had Luke.
Yeah,
too.
it's always not that we were like attached to each other or
Yeah.
anything, but it's just always nice to know that you have someone there for you if things ever got like a bit scary.
Yeah. And were you both in the same accommodation, different ones?
I was at Samby, which is about like a 5-minute walk.
Oh yeah.
If that. And then you were at
Blenheim, which is up St Anne's Hill. That's all. 20-minute walk back. It was a good
Horrible
accommodation, but just a long walk back, especially after nights out and stuff like that.
Yeah. So how did you find like settling in, like coming to the new city? Was it an easy process? Was it tricky?
I did struggle quite a lot at first because I'm not the best talker. Like, if I don't know the person, I struggle knowing what to say to them. Like, my brain just goes like empty. So because I wasn't talking to my flatmates, they weren't really talking to me, which is like, it's fair enough. But like, it meant that for the first like couple months, I felt a bit isolated in my accommodation because there was all these people around, like they were making friends, and the way that my accommodation is laid out is that anyone can like go into your flat because it's like completely open, like it's like a whole little circle. So it meant that there was just random people walking past my flat, and I just didn't enjoy it. But then I started being closer with people from my course, and that's when I actually found the people that I like spending time with because they're interested in similar things. We dress similar, we listen to similar music, so it means I just found those people that I needed to find.
Yeah.
So it means that even if you don't find those people immediately in your accommodation, in your flat, there is people there for you to talk to and get close to. Yeah.
It definitely can be overwhelming. I mean, coming to a new city surrounded by new people, it's like that first term of first year can be a lot. Like you're having the same, hi, my name is, this is my course, and then you're like, oh, I've run out of things to say.
I'd say I had kind of like opposite experience where I found it harder to make friends on the course, just because mainly just like it doesn't work the same as every other education where you have breaks together, so you necessarily like, oh, I'm going to find loads of friends because I need people to like hang around with at uni. But I found loads of friends in my accommodation.
Yeah.
They were like the people that were there for me kind of thing. So you can definitely go either way with it.
It does really depend on the people you're with. Like you shouldn't categorise every single uni accommodation experience because everyone's different. There's going to be different people, different layouts, everything.
Yeah, because people on open day will say like, oh, what do you think about this accommodation? I'm thinking, well, 4 years ago it was this kind of vibe, but it honestly depends on the people, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it's just important for students to realise, like new students who are coming, is that, you know, if you're having a terrible time in the first few months, you know, stick it out.
Yeah,
definitely.
Did you guys join any societies or anything back in first year? Because it was kind of COVID-y time, wasn't it, back then?
A little bit, because we were still doing like online lectures and stuff like that.
I went to like the society like when they were all like sitting in the tables and stuff, but I just never, like, I see how it can appeal to some people, but for me I never had that interest in joining a society.
Yeah, that's fair enough. You got to go with what's your vibe, I guess.
Definitely.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so bringing it back to photography and your process, I'm interested, if you ever like reach a creative block, is there anything particular that helps you get out of that?
I say definitely like just making whatever work you can, like even if it's like, because the still prints I'm doing right now, they're not like really new photos. They're photos I've taken like a couple of weeks ago. So it's just finding that thing that you're interested in, and then just giving it a go and seeing if you can make work. And then I feel like that helps, definitely getting rid of that block.
Yeah, just getting into action for you helps. What about you, Luke?
I'd say for me, I quite like artsy stuff and doing things anyway. So I feel like if my photography, I'm not really sure what I'm doing with it. I just try and put myself into hobbies that I enjoy more, and usually it helps me like think more about creative aspects and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to force myself to do something that I'm not getting anything out of at the moment.
So with your hobbies, is that like painting and stuff?
Like painting, I like doing like clay stuff and that as well.
Oh, cool. Have you ever... I think I've seen you've done some painting you put with your photographs.
Yeah, I'm planning on doing like a little book alongside my photographs for the like painted and drawn self-portraits as well.
Awesome. Yeah. That's so cool. I love when like creativity all fuses together. What about you, Daisy, for your final thing? Are you thinking book, prints on the wall?
A bit of, like, I want it to be a few standalone prints, but then I want the main bit to be the book. And then I made a doll out of part of my project. Like, I made it all myself, and I put a little bit of my hair inside of her.
Oh, wow.
Just because I want... Because, like, traditionally, like, they put hair inside voodoo dolls.
Yeah.
But then I don't want mine to be a voodoo doll, because I want mine to stay perfect. Like, at first I wanted to, like, kind of sew into her and kind of mangle her, but I don't want to. I put so much work into
You want to
her.
look after her
And I
now.
feel like that's kind of, like, how I feel about myself right now. Like, I've put a lot of work into myself.
Yeah.
Like, I used to struggle a lot with, like, self-harm and stuff, but, like, now I'm at an okay place, and I want to leave it like that.
Yeah.
Similar to my doll. Yeah.
Oh, that is really beautiful. And I think that, you know, you're both being so vulnerable. You're giving so much of yourself to the process. And I think that's going to really come across in your work. I mean, you've already been recognised with the highly commended thing. But yeah, I'm so excited to see both your final work.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions in the room from the audience? Mixing it up on Visual Voices.
Come on now, you've dropped that on.
I'm putting producer Sarah and social media Ariadne on the spot right now. So Ari has just asked, have you got any plans for what you'd like to do afterwards?
I'm not 100% sure. I have looked at like maybe a forensic photography job, but I'm not sure how widespread they are and available.
Yeah.
But I enjoy being a creative person, so if that route doesn't happen, I'd probably just apply to as many creative jobs as I possibly could and work my way to somewhere I want to be from there.
Yeah. That's fair.
Because we live because Luke lives in Stoke and I live in like Newcastle-under-Lyme, which is Staffordshire. It's not exactly like we're close to like the peaks and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's a fair distance from London, which is where the majority of the jobs are. So that's kind of like both of our worries. Like, we want to find work, but then it's the price of the commuting, staying there. So, yeah.
That is definitely a barrier. And I know in some of the lessons we were like looking into whether we can financially do a London job, and all of us were like, well, with that train fare, I don't think so.
I had been looking at like possibly moving to Manchester, because I know it's like an up and coming sort of, they're trying to put more arts funding into the north, especially within Manchester, but yeah, we'll see.
It's a good another option. Well, yeah, I think that good things will be coming for both of you, definitely. Because your work, you know, to give so much vulnerability to your work, it's such a brave thing to do, and I think it's like...
something that I'm possibly thinking of, when Nicola Shipley from Grain came and like spoke to me about my work, because I'm doing a course about having a father with addictions, that I should talk to children in Staffordshire who have parents who have similar addictions or absent parents, to say that, like, because if I had that kind of resource when I was young, I think maybe I would be, like, my mental health would be a little bit different. So, like, maybe, because I could still create work through this and, like, talking to people, so that's maybe a possibility for me,
That's a really great idea. I think your project definitely has legs to go further outside of, you know, upon the degree. And also, if you can make work that then's having, like, a positive impact on people, that would be amazing. Maybe something like the Art Council funding would be good to look into too.
I agree.
Exciting. Well, it's been such a lovely conversation, and thank you so much for being so honest.
Thank you for
It's been lovely talking to you.
Thanks for coming.